Hello, my name is Ellen. Welcome to this video where I will be talking about the movies that I watched in September. I am sorry about how this look. I really do only have about an hour to get this done, and I also have not really showered, so this was the best I could do to make myself look semi-cute. Anyway, let's just get cracking. So I usually like to start with the movies that I rewatched, which there were only two, and that is School of Rock and A Cinderella Story. And now we will move on to the statistics for the month. So total I watched 6 movies, and 2 of them I watched in the theater, 4 of them I watched digitally. And then all 6 of them came out this year. I didn't watch any movies that came out in previous years. For the director, 5 of them were male, 1 of them was female, and also 5 of them were white and 1 was BIPOC. For ratings, 2 were PG, 3 were PG-13, and 1 was rated TV PG. Okay, for the length of these movies, the shortest movie I watched was 98 minutes, and then the longest was 137. Total, I watched 704 minutes of movies, so that averages to about 23 minutes a day. For genres, I watched 2 comedies, 1 adventure, 1 action, and 2 drama. For stars, I watched 1 2-star, 1 3-star, 3 4-stars, and 1 5-star. I'm so excited because I've only had 1 5-star so far this year, and now I've got 2. But my average star rating for the month was 3.6, so that's one of the better ones it's been all year. I've watched a lot of not great movies. Okay, so now let's talk about the 6 movies that I watched this month, or this past month, and again, we're gonna talk about them in order of rating. So we're gonna start with my lowest rated movie all the way to my highest rated movie. So my lowest rating with a 2-star is Dear Evan Hansen. This makes me so sad because I saw this musical live on Broadway and I absolutely love this musical. It's one of my favorites. But the movie, I don't think it should have been made. This also is the one movie I think I had the most thoughts on, so I'm gonna do a lot of talking about this movie. So Dear Evan Hansen, I have the description here because I suck at describing movies. But it's about Evan Hansen, who is a high schooler with social anxiety, who unintentionally gets caught up in a lie after the family of a classmate who committed suicide mistakes one of Hansen's letters for their son's suicide note. I do think it stays pretty true to the original musical story-wise. They did cut a lot of songs. I'm really upset that they cut Does Anybody Have a Map, which is the opening song, and so instead the opening song is Waving Through a Window, which did not make any sense to me and just like came out of nowhere. Also, the song Disappear, I'm so upset was not in the movie. But story-wise, it does actually stay pretty true to the original story of the musical. So I liked that. It's just they cut a couple songs and I think 2 of the songs were like out of order. I do think the cast is great. Like, individually, they're all very talented people. But I feel like with every good thing, I have a but. But for this one, like, yeah, like, Ben Platt is so talented, and I think he's a fantastic singer. Like, he is, every time I hear him sing, it's like chills throughout my body. And I do think he's a great actor. I just really don't think he should have been cast in this movie, and I know I'm literally not the only one. Like, everyone agrees with this. He was too old for the role. He has aged out of it already, and it shouldn't, no. But also, like, the way they tried to make him look younger ended up making him look older. Like, I know he's a great actor, and I know he's done, like, film stuff, but the way he was playing it in this movie felt very theatrical. He was playing it like it was for a stage and not for a film, and it was like too over the top. So then compared with the other actors on the screen, his was like up here and everyone else was here, and it just was like very jarring and not meshing well together. So as much as I love Ben Platt, he should not have been in this movie. I really loved how they did Sincerely Me. There is a new song. I actually think there's 2 new songs but we're mainly going to talk about the one because I actually really liked it. I liked it a lot, and it was written by Amanda Stenberg, who honestly to me was a standout performer in this movie. She played Alana, who just, she's not that much of a character in the Broadway musical, but in the movie they like made her more of a character and they gave her more backstory and more depth, and I really liked that, and I thought Amanda did great with it. And I really enjoyed the song that she wrote for her character, I think called Anonymous Ones. And of course, like the music, I really enjoyed the songs and whatnot. But I think my issue with, I have a couple issues with the songs in the movie. The director said he wanted this movie to feel real, but by doing that, the songs then felt very out of place and kind of felt like they came out of nowhere. I love musicals. I know musicals, they have singing in them, but there's usually like it feels cohesive and it feels like part of the story and part of the world. But in this movie, it didn't feel that. It felt like the music felt very out of place. And also, I don't know why, but like when I watched the musical, I cried about like 4 or 5 times. It was an emotional moment. But watching this movie, I only cried once, and it was just like a single tear. The songs and the story itself didn't have that same emotional impact that you get from watching it live on stage. And I think that has to do with the directing style and like the fact that it felt too real. And it just like kind of felt weird, the singing, and the sound design with the singing as well, just ugh. And then also the shots were just very plain. It was very plain and bland, and honestly to me brought nothing to the screen. They did also take out some stuff about Connor. Like I know Connor isn't that much in the musical, but like he's still there. But even with like what little he's given in the live musical, they took even more away in the movie. So you really don't get to know Connor, and you don't really see much of Connor. And I feel like that was a huge like negative about the film, especially because, again, I'm gonna go back to it, the song Disappear. I love that song, and by taking it out, we lose more of Connor, and then from also taking out the song Disappear, we lose one of the many meanings of this musical. Like, yes, the musical is about mental health, and yes, it's about not feeling alone and depression and anxiety and like how we're not alone in this. But by also taking out the song Disappear and by taking out Connor, you miss the fact that Connor didn't want to disappear and he didn't want to be forgotten. And that's like another big part of the story that we just kind of miss. I also really hated the editing. Like I wish I could explain how much the editing just sucked. But the one thing that like really stood out to me editing wise that was just god awful was the fact that we saw Ben Platt running through the forest, running on that bridge, going up the tree like 20 times. I'm like, I don't need to see this flashback this many times. Like especially too, because it's like each time they do the flashback, it's supposed to show something different about that day. But like he says what's different about that day in dialogue by the end of the movie. You don't need to show me 20 times throughout the movie that, oh, look, he's climbing a tree. There's a lot of tree metaphors in this story. It honestly irritated me every time we went to that flashback. Every single time. Like, I'm okay with seeing it during For Forever. It makes sense there. I don't need to see it throughout the rest of the movie until the very end where Julianne Moore is singing So Big, So Small, which is the one time I cried during the movie. And like within that song, he's telling his mom about what actually happened that day. And it's like, did we really need to see the 5,000 other flashbacks to that thing? It was just so unnecessary and so unneeded and very much irritated me. I found myself a lot of times sitting there kind of cringing, and I don't think it was because of the story. Like, I know there's been a lot of backlash about the actual story and the plot and the main character being an anti-hero, which I completely understand, but that's not where my main issue lies with this, and it's mainly with the direction and the editing and like the filming of it, because it did feel like they rushed through the filming of the movie, and it's very obvious. Like, again, the shots are very plain, but also like the lighting and the cinematography does nothing. And it's just, it looks like a college-made film, to be honest. I think just all the moments between the actors just feel very awkward and not natural. So I don't know. And it's like, I don't want to fault the actors, because I think the actors are all great actors on their own, but with what they were given, they did their best. I do think the story is important and the message is important. At least like the themes and the message of the story are important. The ways of going about it is a little but I think that's mainly just because Ben Platt, who looks like an adult, was casted for the role of a teenager, when it's like, if the person actually looks like a teenager, we'd be able to like forgive most of the things that he does because he is a teenager. But because he looks too much like an adult, we see it as an adult making these mistakes, and then it rubs us the wrong way. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so I more so had issues with the direction and the editing and like the way it was shot, rather than the story itself, even though it does have its issues. Either way, I'd much rather prefer people go see the live Broadway version of the show, because that is much better than the movie. And so next we have my 3-star movie, which this is a very low 3 stars. It was almost 2 stars, and I feel like the more I think about it, the more I do want to give it 2 stars, but we're keeping it at a 3. And that is Cinderella, the new version. And I was honestly really excited for this because I love a good Cinderella story. So I think we all know what the story of Cinderella is about, but just in case you need a refresher, especially with this story, or especially with like this version, I guess, but Cinderella, an orphaned girl with an evil stepmother, has big dreams, and with the help of her fabulous godmother, she preserves to make them come true. In case you forgot what Cinderella is about. Billy Porter is fantastic. Love it. I also think Idina Menzel stole the freaking show with this movie. Like, fantastic. Idina Menzel, I feel like, can never do any wrong. Her song numbers were the best in the whole movie. I also really liked what she did with the stepmother. She kind of like did a different take with the stepmother, and I really liked that. And Idina Menzel is just talented all around. Same with Billy Porter. I wanted so much more of Billy Porter. We literally only get one scene with Billy Porter. I think with this movie, like, I get what they were doing with it, but the way it was done was just very messy. Like, I get it, this is supposed to be a very feminist, girl boss take of Cinderella and very modernized, but it was just too much. And it was like, we get it. You don't, you're being way too obvious with it. Execution-wise, the movie was very messy, is what I'm trying to get across. I also really hated the music. Like, I would have liked it so much better if it had been original songs, but because we were doing songs that like are modern pop songs, and then also on top of it, they were like remixed, and they were trying too hard to make the songs really different, but yet that made the songs like just really bad remixes. Like, I know all of these people are talented singers, but the songs that they were given, it was just like, go wild with it. And I'm like, I would have much preferred original songs, for sure. And the amount of times I had to hear Cinderella or Camila Cabello sing, if it's a million to one. Like, do I need to hear her sing that song 5 times? No. But I think they were just like trying way too hard with the music and to like keep it modern. Like, it didn't work. And I think a lot of the decisions that they made to make the movie modern took away from the original charm of Cinderella, the story. Oh, and another thing too. Okay. So I really actually enjoyed the like set production. Like I really liked the set and the production design, and the costumes were great, except Cinderella's designs. So in this one, so in this movie, Cinderella's a dress designer, but all the dresses that she designs and she makes are either really ugly or really plain and forgettable. But like everyone else's outfits are stunning. Now, I do have an unpopular opinion in the fact that like, okay, everyone on the internet like does not like James Corden in any of these movie musicals. I love James Corden. I want him to be in all the movie musicals. Like, I really find him funny, and I know everyone's like feeling traumatized by that rat scene. You know the one. But I actually found it very funny, and I enjoyed it. Anyway, so that was a 3-star movie. Now onto my 4 stars. The first one I'm gonna talk about is Wish Dragon. This one was really cute and really sweet and lovely, but I could not get over the fact that it is a direct ripoff of Aladdin. Like, it is exactly Aladdin. Okay, so Wish Dragon is about a determined teen named Din who is longing to reconnect with his childhood best friend, Lena, when he meets a wish-granting dragon named Long, who shows him the magic of possibilities. It also has really good animation, and I enjoyed a lot of the characters and the cast, especially the character of Long. I also like that we kind of get a backstory for this genie, aka the Wish Dragon. However, I do think the ending was very rushed, and there were also some storylines that didn't quite have a satisfying end to me. But overall, I did enjoy it. So my next 4-star movie is Afterlife of the Party. I was very surprised. I thought this was gonna be like just a normal 3-star movie. Like, it'd be fine, but like, I won't, like one of those movies where like, I'll enjoy it, but I'm not gonna hate it, you know? But I actually enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. Okay, so now this movie is about a social butterfly who dies during her birthday week and is given a second chance to right her wrongs on Earth. I was not expecting to cry watching this movie, and when I was looking at like other people's reviews of this movie, it looked like everybody cried. Everyone was saying, they're like, this was funny, and then the end got me, and I was crying, and I was like, oh my god, me too. But honestly, I felt like I was crying throughout the entire movie. I don't know why this movie did that. Like, it is funny, like it has its comedic moments, and it also has its like heartfelt moments, but it is so endearing and emotional, and it really got to me. I also really enjoyed the cast. Like, Victoria Justice is always like a hit or miss with me. Most of the time she's a miss, but this one was a hit. I thought she was great, and I thought the angel who was helping her out was super funny and did a great job. And then my favorite is definitely Midori. I mean, I liked her in Dash and Lily's, whatever it's called, that TV show. Oh, I think they just called the TV show Dash and Lily. And so I was really excited to see her again in something else, and I thought she did so well in this. The plot is pretty predictable, and it does get a bit ridiculous at times, but overall, very, very enjoyable. A lot better than I thought it would be, so 4 stars. And then my last 4-star movie is Everybody's Talking About Jamie. This is another musical turned into a movie musical, and this one I think was done pretty well. Granted, I have not seen the live Broadway musical. Was it in Broadway or was it just West End? I can't remember, but I never saw the live performance of this one, so I only know about the movie, so I can't really comment on the musical to movie adaptation. But this one I know is based off of a true story, and it's about Jamie New, who is 16 and doesn't quite fit in, so instead of pursuing a real career, he dreams of becoming a drag queen. Uncertain about his future, Jamie knows one thing for sure: he is going to be a sensation. Supported by his loving mom and his amazing friends, Jamie overcomes prejudice, beats the bullies, and steps out of the darkness into the spotlight. Wow, just ruin the end of the film, why don't you? I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the cast. I also really loved the way it was shot. It was very colorful. Like, I liked how a lot of the scenes where Jamie is not a drag queen, it's kind of like bland and subtle, but then once he's a drag queen, it's colorful, it's bright. Also, he looked fantastic as a drag queen. I also really enjoyed his friend, Pretty. She was just like the sweetest thing. The only thing with this one was that I actually didn't really like a lot of the songs. To be honest, they're all forgettable. I already have forgotten all of the songs. There's only one that actually stood out to me that I really liked. And I can't remember if it was the first song or the second song, but it was when he gets his like sparkly red heels and he tries them on and he starts like strutting around the backyard and like breaking them in. And like he sings a song during that, and I thought that was a great song. Other than that, the songs were forgettable. I really could not care for the music. So that was 4 stars. And now we're on to my 5 stars. And the movie I've given 5 stars is honestly shocking. I would have never in a million years thought I would be giving a Marvel movie 5 stars, but that is, I'm gonna so mispronounce it and I'm so sorry, but I have tried to pronounce it correctly and I just can't. But Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This movie was so good. Fantastic. Honestly, I can't see a single thing wrong with this movie, which is why I gave it 5 stars, obviously. Like, the cinematography and the fight choreography was excellent. The CGI is so good. And even just like the writing of the story, like the dialogue is great. The way the story just flows is so good. And then also too, I love how like that last third of the movie, just, we go over the top, we go extreme, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like it's, yeah, it's weird because I know a lot of times I'm like, oh, that was too over the top, but like this over the top was just like, no, yeah, you can go over the top with this, yes. And it was just like so epic. I think the story was engaging from start to finish. Just, I was engaged the entire time, and I think the cast is great. The cast is perfect. I know some people had a few issues with Awkwafina, but I love Awkwafina and everything that she's done, that I've seen at least. Like, I love her, and I thought she did great in this. She wasn't like too much of her comedic self, but there was still that comedy put in there, which I think this movie definitely also needs. We need like the action and the adventure and the like drama, but we also need that little bit of comedic relief, and I thought Awkwafina did a great job with that. I had an absolute blast watching this film from beginning to end, and it was just, ugh, I loved it so much. Also, their attention to detail, great, spot on. They had so many things going on that was just like, especially like I think more so I'm talking about things in the background. Like, I would also look at what's going on in the background, and everything in the background was so detailed to a T. Anyway, I really need to stop talking because I'm going to be running late. But that is it for the movies. I do want to mention some TV shows though. So I watched 3 TV shows this month. I watched the final season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is season 8. And I really enjoyed all of the past seasons, so I was really excited for this new and its final season. Also a little bittersweet, and again, really enjoy it. It's a great comedy show about cops in New York. And I like a lot of the things that they did with this season, although I wish it had been longer. But I just have to say that final episode, perfect. Absolutely perfect. You could not have ended Brooklyn Nine-Nine in a better way. Next is a TV show called Staged. I watched both seasons 1 and 2. This is with Michael Sheen and David Tennant. And I wish I could explain this show. But basically, I believe it's all done through Zoom. So It's all through video calls, this entire show. And then season 2, we had a lot of cameos that were really great. But I also like that we get to see David Tennant and Michael Sheen's wives in the show as well, so that was great. I love Michael Sheen and I love David Tennant and I love their friendship, so this is great. And then the last show I want to talk about is a show that's still technically going on, but I have watched the first 4 episodes at this point, and that is Y: The Last Man. So I read the graphic novel series all within the month of January of this year, and I absolutely loved it. And so found out like literally a week before Y: The Last Man aired that this was coming out, and I was just like, wait, what? So of course I told my friend who also loves Y: The Last Man, and we've been watching it together. It's doing a really good job so far. I'm really happy with the production value of this show, and I think they're doing a really great job with an adaptation from the series to the TV show. Yeah, so I'm really happy with it. And then one last thing I want to mention, I did watch a theater performance. I watched Come From Away. They had it available on Apple TV, so I watched that. It was okay. I will say I knew nothing about it going into it, and then when I found out what it was about as I was watching it, I was like, oh god, okay. Okay, that's what this is about. So if you want to know, it is based off of real events, real things that happened, and it takes place around 9/11. So there's a lot of talk of 9/11 within the show. But it's based off these people who were on other planes that ended up getting redirected to this town, and now this town is like swarming with thousands of people who had to do emergency landings, and they have nowhere else to go, so they're trying to accommodate for thousands of people within this small town. I thought it was well done. I did enjoy it, but ultimately and overall I was actually kind of bored with it, and I was not a huge fan of the music. Like, there were moments that I really enjoyed, but there were also moments that I was just like meh about. So it was fine, but it's not a favorite. And that's all I've got to say, because I am definitely running late at this point. But that is it for this video. I also have a book wrap up for the month of September, so I will link that down below if you want to check that out. And I will see you guys later with more videos. Bye.